All right, what's up? Welcome into the Survivor 47 finale recap from Snuff and Torches. Got me, Nate, and Clemmer. Last episode of the season, obviously, that's what a finale is. We get our winner.
Yeah.
Um, Rachel wins over Sam and Sue at the end. Honestly, to me, that was one of the most boring finales in the history of Survivor. I don't think
Yeah.
it was helped by the fact that it was only 2 hours. Like I know we kept thinking, oh, they're having these, it's a two-part finale and they're both 2 hours, like something crazy is going to happen. Turns out there was no logical reason for that, at least within the show. I think it ended up hurting this episode because I think if we had, final five last night where, you have Genevieve and kind of going against Rachel, maybe there's a little more suspense as to who's going to win, but the second Rachel won that final challenge tonight, I felt that it was
Yeah.
basically just a Rachel coronation. Now, I thought Sam did a really good job at Final Tribal, and I think that, the editors did a good job making it look like he had more of a shot than he did. But overall, this just felt like a Rachel coronation, a good winner, a great season, but a lackluster ending.
Yeah.
And I apologize. I have a cold. If I'm blowing my nose, I'm gross.
Uh, gross. The two-part finale. So part one of the two-part finale, excellent. Part two, I had my notepad open, ready to take notes for the podcast. The second she won immunity, I just closed out of it. I was like, there's no chance anybody else can win. I would be stunned. I thought Sam would get, if he won fire, I was like, maybe he'll get Sierra's vote just because they were buddy, but he didn't even end up getting that. He just got Kyle's. But
I was
it was
stunned he didn't get Sierra's.
I guess
Me
the
too.
only good part of last night's episode was fire. It was probably the best fire that we've seen. It was a top 3 fire, maybe the best we've ever seen. It was awesome. I thought it was interesting, at least, that Rachel openly was teaching Teeny how to make fire, which should have been a slap in the fucking face to Teeny. Like, I want to be at Final 3 with you so badly. I'm going to teach you how to make fire. And Teeny was just like, not wiser for the wear, whatever that phrase is.
At one point she goes over to Rachel while she's making fire and goes, "What do I do?" Which is a wild move if you want to then next day try to get votes from these people.
Yeah,
and Rachel was just like, put some sticks on it. Like, she didn't even have the most, advanced.
And I guess
answer.
the only other thing you said, Tommy, is I thought editing did a great job of making it look like Sam could perhaps get a vote. He would make a point and they would pan to Andy like, but it was never even close. Rachel won that final immunity. The only way it could have happened for Sam was if he won and then like took Rachel to fire, whatever. And then he would have beat Sue and Teeny 8-0. But besides that, no chance. Sue also ding dong brains, just nothing upstairs. And Teeny,
outplayed Kyle, came in third.
Sure.
Yeah, I had no chance to win. I echo everything you guys said. One thing I wanted to kind of go back to, something Tommy said, where the 2-hour finale really hurt. Because think about the last hour of last week. It was actually fantastic television. We all loved it. If that was part of this 3-hour package, I think we would have thought much more favorably of the finale. I still don't understand why it did. What did CBS have on at 10 o'clock after Survivor? I don't know. I DVR'd this, so I don't know.
It seemed like I left it on for a couple minutes. It seemed like nothing. It seemed like some procedural show.
I don't get it. I don't get why they did this, but I don't know. 2 hours of kind of, like you guys said, the second Rachel wins, it's over. Even the reunion show, the 25 minutes they sent for that, it was probably almost too long. It was pretty dreadful. All in all, just a fantastic season, the best one in years. But this finale, unfortunately, was pretty obvious.
And I get it. Like, Survivor's doing good ratings. They want to milk it. Like, I'm not going to hate on them for that. I think, Clemmer, you've said it, like, any Survivor is good Survivor for the most part. So, but it was, I don't know what they could have done differently once she won immunity. It was.
Yeah.
There was just not a lot of, God, I'm doing bad with phrase. I would say milk on that bone, meat on that bone. There just wasn't much there.
So someone in the chat said CBS came to Survivor and asked them to do 14 episodes, Jeff said on his podcast.
Okay. We can answer some shit from the chat. There's really nothing else to say. Yeah, the fact that Teeny's rope didn't snap when she had a fucking inferno, that was pretty crazy.
That was
Sam
karma for how she treated Sam. Like treating Sam as like her enemy, and like she basically looked at Sam and was like, "You're all my demons for my entire life." And she did end up admitting, like, this is kind of unfair to Sam, but
She did.
That it's like if I was Teeny, I'd be like, I'll say something. I'm gonna guess Teeny doesn't believe in God after that challenge. I feel like she may not have believed in God before the challenge. She definitely doesn't believe in God after that, because the fact that fire did not break the rope is crazy. That was, I don't know, like I don't know if she has a defunct rope or something, but the fact that Sam was able to come back.
The wind, fuck Teeny, big time.
Yeah, so I always forget these.
Yeah,
numbers.
which side?
Someone in the chat will have it, but it does seem like Sam's side is better, right?
The side on the right is better than the side on the left. It seems like.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know. I will say, yeah. Teeny's indestructible rope, very bizarre. I mean, that was very. It was burning. It had I felt like the embers were on the fringes for the entire time they were doing it. And it never snapped.
There was 12 different parts of the rope that were on fire the entire time, and Sam's still trying to get a spark, and it never caught. Very strange.
Yeah,
but I mean, we're 6 minutes in. We're out of stuff to talk about from a 2-hour finale.
Yeah, I mean, well, a couple things. I mean, the final immunity challenge I thought was a dud. I always like, the Samotion challenge, the one where they got to catch the balls through that thing. That to me is always great. Something that's more endurance or, like, I don't know if endurance, like it's less athletic and more just like mental willpower. That's what I always like for that Final Four challenge. This was just a huge obstacle course, fucking boring as fuck.
Puzzle.
You had to unlock or whatever, you had to do the word scramble, build the puzzle. Jeff at one point was like, our classic Survivor knots. You guys know these Survivor knots. To me, that was just a dud of a challenge.
I kind of chuckled. I was like, are they self-aware? We're going to crawl through mud. We're going to do a knot. We're going to do a puzzle. Like, it was almost like not a slap in the face, but, people who make fun of that it's always the same stuff over and over again. They just put those all. We just don't have to crawl in mud every single challenge. We don't have to do a puzzle every single challenge. And Jeff's like, you know what we're going to do? Knots, puzzle,
all
mud.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was also hoping for something more endurance as well. I don't know, anything that kind of tested the mental strength more. And I don't mean like puzzles. I mean like the mental endurance that it takes to do that show is always more interesting to me. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, honestly, none of it mattered. Like Rachel, it was just Rachel deserved to win. Rachel did win. I'm happy about that. That's what I'll take away from the season. But this finale kind of stunk. But maybe it kind of had to stink for us to get there.
Yeah,
I'll say
last week was so good that I don't want to hate on last night too hard, because they could only do so much in the editing booth to make it interesting, and they had to fill the time. And last week and this entire season was so good that it's like, I bet Jeff Probst was praying she didn't win immunity, absolutely praying for it. But
even the intro to the finale, when Jeff was talking to the camera, it was just all about Rachel. He's like, last week Rachel found an idol and then played it in her vote block, and then she won immunity, and then the other three are there too. It felt like just a coronation.
All right, so
I'll fill another minute. Oh, go ahead, Connor.
I just want to walk you guys through this scenario, which I think we probably all agree. So let's say Rachel ends up Sam wins the challenge. Rachel ends up having to do fire. Rachel somehow loses fire. So now we have Teeny, we have Sue, and we have Sam. I think Sam wins in a sweep. I think no matter what, we're headed for a very anticlimactic finale, no matter what happened.
Yes, there was.
Do we agree with that?
Yeah, for sure.
Sam was the only competitor to Rachel, and his argument, it's never going to work in today's day and age. Oh, you got lucky and found idols and advantages in the French fries. That's just it. I get that's all he could do is if you didn't have the French fries, you wouldn't have had it. But the point of the game is circumstance and having it and knowing when to use it and how to use it. And you say Saul saved you. It's like, yeah, because I'm good at the game. That's why Saul saved me. Like
Andy saved Sam. So
I get Sam gave, he was so poised and he had a good argument. It just, the jury knew that the jury just saw right through it. And Sam knew, I think at one point Sam was kind of like snickering because he kind of knew also. So whatever. And hey, shout out to my boy Kyle for throwing a vote on his boy.
So I think that Kyle might have done that just because he hates Sue so much and wanted to make sure she got third.
Right. It is a different cash prize for second and third. And I think probably just something you said.
I think it's $100K versus $85K or something.
Yeah. I think also just the title of being runner-up is a lot better. I think you're right, Tommy.
But I'll be honest, Sam kind of swung me a bit at Final Tribal. Like, it is something he was vulnerable pretty much every tribal council. He voted correctly every time, which I think is a huge point. To me, when somebody votes correctly throughout the game, that's a more impressive stat than winning every challenge or whatever. Like, that's something that I think is a better test of Survivor, that you knew what was going on. You were, maybe behind what was going on, or at least you were aware of what was going on, and what you wanted to happen happened, basically, which I think is a huge testament to him. And he did have to fight and claw his way a lot. Now, I think that it would have been easier for Sam to make the strategic argument if, like, he was the driver of a lot of votes and, like, he was like the strategic mastermind, whereas he was more of like an underdog scratching and clawing his way. But I do think he brought up good points, and I thought Andy actually brought up a really interesting point where he was talking to Rachel. He's like, hey, we're Survivor super fans. We don't view Mike Holloway from season 30 or Ben from season 35 as great winners, because all they really did is win challenges and find idols. And to me, Survivor is not a game of this. Sam should have used this line. Like, Survivor's not gym class and hide and go seek. Like, Survivor is, getting to know people. It's a social game, strategic game. So that being said, I actually think that Rachel was still really good at the other stuff. Like, early on.
Wait, Tommy.
Hold on. Early on in the merge, I think she was really good at that stuff. And then she just didn't have to basically do it because she kept winning.
Tommy, so what you just said, Survivor's not gym class or hide and seek. Are you saying that's what he should have said, or do you believe that? Because I think there's different ways to win the game, and gym class hide and seek is a strong way to win the game. Like, I don't think there's only one way to win.
I agree, but I said Sam should have said that, and I do believe it. Like, personally, I mean, yeah, there's a million different ways to win Survivor, but to me, the way to win is more. It's when Mark Brunette pitches the show, he pitches it as the greatest social experiment, of all time. It's a social game. It's not the greatest athletic experiment of all time.
But Tommy, I believe I'm aligned with you. I think we have a lot of the same philosophies on Survivor with this game.
I definitely agree. I don't want to poo-poo.
But like, are we just saying that though, Tommy? Because we're not we're not going to beat these guys.
It's possible,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that because that's the game we would play? Is that why we look at Survivor that way?
Yeah, possibly, but I think the majority of Survivor fans would agree. Like, I think that the people who were diehard Survivor fans are with us. Like, the people who have watched Survivor for 47 seasons like it for the reasons we like it.
Yeah.
The people who flip it on and watch it on CBS if nothing else is on, maybe they like it for the challenges, and they're like, wow, this person's really good at challenges.
I think
the true diehard fans are with us.
Challenges, I agree with you on. I think idols and immunity have so much power in the game that people don't spend enough time looking for them. Tony, all he wanted to do was find immunity, and I think that's the correct way to do it because of how much power that yields. And I don't think people spend enough time on, you have nothing else to do. You should be constantly looking, and then knowing when to use it, knowing how to perfectly use your immunity idol or an advantage. Being able, that's the mental aspect to me, is being able to figure out the numbers and figure all that stuff out, and knowing how to, Sue had immunity. She had no idea how to use it,
she didn't need it. She was too good. She didn't even need it.
Yeah.
Save Caroline.
So I think that's like I think challenges for the most part you can strategically decide not to win a challenge, which kind of makes challenges less important. But idols I think are overly important. And then all Jeff Probst's twists that he's throwing in now, they should get rid of because the best stuff happens without that.
Yeah, I agree. I was thinking it was funny, like looking at if you looked at the final tribal council and you saw Rachel and Sam and you were like, one of these people is pitching their game as like a challenge beast and idol finder, and one was like this social player, you would obviously think, it was the reverse of what the case actually was. But I do think Sam did a good job at final tribal. I thought there was a point I actually thought he was going to win, but
no, you didn't.
I really did. I was like, oh my God,
Really?
I think Sam might win this.
Oh, I never got there. But
I thought I thought Sierra was going to toss him a vote, and I thought that was going to be it.
We also had, remember, during the fire making challenge, Gabe was like openly rooting for him. So I was like, oh, maybe Gabe is on Sam's side. Sierra, Kai, it only takes a few. It's a pretty small jury.
I just thought maybe they just didn't like Teeny that much.
That's possible as well. What do you think of Sam never practicing fire before getting out there?
It's my two things. How do they go on the show not knowing how to swim, and how do they not know how to make fire? It's season 47. If you don't know how to make fire and you don't know how to swim, you're a ding-dong brain. And not knowing how to make fire until the last day makes him a ding-dong brain.
Yeah, I mean, I give him the awareness at least to being like, I should have done this. Like he's admitted it on camera, so it's hard to beat him up too much about it, and it really didn't matter in the end. But yeah, I don't quite get it either.
I think another funny part is for 90% of Final Tribal, they didn't even address Sue. The questions were for Rachel and Sam. Like they didn't even like try to even pander to her to like not hurt her feelings. They just got their answers from the two people that matter, and then they moved on. And Sue, no, Sue, we don't need you on this one.
As much as it's easy to be like, oh, Sam's an idiot for not practicing, I almost think I would do the same thing. I do not want to practice making fire. I mean, I would. If I knew I was going on the show, I would practice making fire. But I understand it being like, I don't want to fucking learn how to make fire. But yeah, I mean, now that it is such a big part of the show at Final Four, and if you plan on being a good player, then you kind of have to think, all right, I might be in that Final Four final making challenge because people aren't going to want to sit next to me. So you got to practice, but part of me doesn't blame them for being like, fuck that. I just don't want to learn how to make fire.
Honestly,
it is like, I kind of hate, like, I like that. So the reason Survivor does this is because all the best players are getting voted out fourth, where it would just be, you get to the fourth, and unless you won the final immunity challenge, which some did, and then they'd win, but unless you won, everybody else was going to vote for you. This does, I guess, give you a chance to, it does give you a chance to stay alive and get to the end. But the fact that it's just making fire is kind of lame to me. And I know Survivor fires your life, but I guess maybe it's just like we were saying, what we appreciate Survivor for. I don't give a fuck who could make a fire the fastest.
Me either, but I like it. It gives that person, that fourth place person, at least a chance. So for that, I
wish there was almost another way to do it. I don't know.
The only way to do it, and this goes back to season 1, stand on this pole for days at a time. Stand here until you can't stand.
Then you run out of. Or honestly, what they could do is make that Samotion challenge in place of fire making. You could have a normal final immunity challenge that's something like we saw tonight, and then you do the Samotion instead of fire making. That to me would be. But I mean, you just get a great.
Fire is Survivor.
It is.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm just selfishly thinking for myself, I would never want to have to make a fire.
Tommy, for yourself, the number one thing you can do besides swimming and making fire is you print out a 3D puzzle and you just do puzzles all day, every day. That seems. I don't. Are they all of a sudden get rid of puzzles moving forward? I assume not. How many episodes? 14. Did 13 out of the 14 episodes include a puzzle? I would say
probably.
Last season a guy was talking about he printed everything out 3D at home and he came in knowing how to do everything. I think you'd be Carson, if you get casted and you have time, puzzles and knots. It's all I would do.
Another point I think, against Rachel, which I don't think Sam brought up unless I'm
And crawling mud.
mistaken, is she was really saved by kind of a gimmicky twist when Soul sent her that advantage.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Like, she didn't do anything to find that.
No.
Soul found an advantage. You got to save somebody on the
social
other.
equity, though. No, it's part of the game.
But kind of, but really the only reason he sent it to her is because the other 4 people are on the same tribe and she was there with them. Like,
Okay,
if it was.
You could also say it's bad luck for her, though. Like, that's like incredibly bad luck for her.
Yeah, dude, we're nitpicking. That's in terms of Survivor, stuff like that happens regularly.
But not everybody gets a chance to get bailed out by like a random twist like that.
But it's part of the game.
They don't. I kind of see both sides on it a little bit, but the way I look at it, kind of evened out. Where she had a horribly bad luck, she ended up getting amazingly good luck, and then it ended up just kind of being a push. But that was a weird twist though, because she even got to leave tribal. That was very weird.
And someone in the chat says Jeff would never allow Sam to say it was gimmicky in the final edit. I agree with that, but in the moment, I'm saying anything I fucking can. Like, if I was Sam at Final Tribal, I'd be like, that twist was dumb. Like, Rachel didn't deserve that. Like, I think that Sam was in such a hole, and I think he knew it, that, you got to throw everything at the wall, see what sticks.
Someone asked, do you think they just edited Sue out of Final Tribal instead of just not talking to her? That's also possible.
Probably.
Yeah, I imagine Final Tribal is
stupid. They just got rid of it.
Final Tribal is probably like an hour, at least.
Oh, like in real time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the episode. That was the season. It's unfortunate that it went out not on a whimper, but is what it is. Last week was so awesome, though. So they honestly,
we got a deserving winner.
Yeah. So
okay.
Where do you think Rachel ranks among winners? I mean, we aren't going to do all, but where do you think in general she'll rank among winners, and where Survivor 47 will rank among Survivor seasons?
She's like a AAA version of Kim Sproudlin to me.
No, I think they're actually very different. Kim was like a godfather, ran the whole game.
Yeah, that's what I mean. She's like a minor league version of that. Like, she's not there.
But I feel like she didn't really run the game.
No, that's fair. Maybe a AA version. Maybe I'm being too kind by AAA. That's kind of. What's that?
So I think they're just both women winners.
But deserving winners who also were really good
she's
at
deserving.
Challenges, and both were good at challenges and had decent social games. But Kim's were just elite, and maybe Rachel's just decent. Do you have a better comp? You might. You have better memory.
No, we're not off the top of my head. I'm looking through just like a winner list now.
My computer just froze looking at a winner list. I don't even know if I'm.
No, you're here.
I'm frozen. Fuck.
Like, you rarely see a woman winner win mainly on like challenges and idols and stuff.
My back.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I think new era. I like Kenzie as a winner. I thought Rachel played a better game than Kenzie.
I think that's a decent like Kenzie was not as reliant on challenges and idols, but to me, they're like, if you're replaying seasons of Survivor, I think they would play similar games. They're like under the radar women, quiet, good socially, strategic minds. Obviously, Rachel turned out to be like a puzzle beast and stuff. But I think they're at least their games weren't similar, but as players, I think they're similar.
That's fair.
So the new age winners: Kenzie, D, Yam Yam, who's my woat, Gabler, who's my goat, Marianne, who stunk, Erica, who nobody knows existed. That's your list. I think Rachel is I liked Kenzie more, tattooed Kenzie. I liked her more, but I think Rachel's probably the overall better player.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I also do think that Rachel was a good social player and strategic player. She just didn't need to be at the end because she kept winning all the challenges and finding the idols. Like, I think there is a world where if Rachel doesn't win all the challenges, she still could end up winning the game because I think she could have had a chance to maneuver herself through the game. So that's why, I think she's a deserving winner. I'm kind of just playing devil's advocate to see reason she couldn't have won. But I think when you look at like a Mike or a Ben, they had no chance to win if it wasn't for their incredible immunity runs and idol findings. I think Rachel could have won a different game. I guarantee Rachel did not expect to end up playing the game she played.
I would like Rachel to come back. I would like to see how she does against other winners or stronger players. I think
I bet she performed really well.
I think she would too. Yeah.
Yeah, like remember how we talked about how like Andy, if he comes back, he's probably cooked because like everyone knows the tricks in his bag. Where I think Rachel actually could do really well in a winner's return game.
She has a very strong mind for it. I agree. One final nitpick: final immunity challenge puzzle. I cannot stand them being able to look at the other people's puzzles. I can't. I don't
either.
I agree.
Not fair.
I can't stand it. That's my. It shouldn't make me as upset. I don't know if upset's the word. They put barriers, dude. It's final immunity.
It's cheating. It's cheating. Flat out.
They let them do it, so it's not cheating. But they shouldn't let them do it. It just make them put together their own fucking puzzle. It really actually bothers me. I know it sounds ridiculous for it to bother me, but it's final immunity for Soul Survivor. And you want someone winning a challenge because they're looking over at someone who's better. Drives me up the wall.
It's crazy. I'll say it's an interesting point in the chat where it's now 3 seasons in a row, and I think 4 seasons in the new era, if you include season 41, where at Final Tribal, you have like a 30-ish-year-old woman end up beating like the young white guy, basically. Like this year, it was Rachel beats Sam. Last year, Charlie lost to Kenzie. Year before, Dee beat Austin. If you go back to season 41, Erica beat Xander. Remember Xander? Like it is interesting. It seems like it's happening a lot where old Survivor, it almost felt like if you were like, you hit that demographic, you were winning if you got to the end. Like think of like an Adam or a JT, different. But now it's almost like that. It feels like I always thought if I went on Survivor, well, there's no way I'd come in second or third. Like maybe I wouldn't get to the end, but if I got to the end, I would win. Now I almost think, I don't know, maybe my demographics at second or third spot.
So yeah, maybe white men are,
can't win in the new era.
Maybe that's because we're trying to find
one.
the way that you get on the show.
Gabler's a unicorn.
Tommy, what's the word I'm looking for? You need like something working against you.
Story?
Yeah, like that's your sob story. It finally came to fruition. Being a white man puts you at a disadvantage on Survivor.
Yeah, I think it's possible.
Yeah, I mean Rachel,
think about it. Like if you look at the past winners, like Chris Underwood, 38, the guy Tommy in 39, Nick in 37, Adam in 33. At a certain point, if you were that young white guy demographic, you were almost guaranteed to win.
I think you're onto something here.
Maybe they should do.
Yeah, I don't have much else. I hung out with Boston Rob in Vegas.
Yeah, how was that?
Cool guy. He seems like a great hang.
Great hang. All he wants to do is drink Coors Light and gamble. We talked a little Survivor. I think I was ND8. I can't really say much, but he loves reality TV. Like he does Deal or No Deal Island. He does Traders. He does all of it. He loves reality TV. Like genuinely, and why wouldn't he? He's great at it, just really nice guy, really cool guy. We had dinner, a couple other people, and just he's so kind and genuine. He's everything you want Boston Rob to be. He's
great to hear.
Great dude.
He's got aura, I bet, as the kids say.
Definitely has aura. It's a different, if you know who he is, like your eyes are drawn, like it's like that's Boston Rob. You like stare at him the whole time. Amber is a big fan of the current season or the one that just ended. He has not quite caught up yet, but they watch. Like it's really funny. Like they have 1,000 kids and they still watch Survivor. They love reality TV, the both of them. He gave me a few nuggets that I can't repeat about season 50. And yeah, he just cool guy, real cool guy.
You don't have anything for the snuff heads?
He definitely says Amber just like how he says it on the show. Amber.
Okay.
No, not anything crazy for the snuffies. Just really swell fella. Oh, he watches Surviving Barstool also, or he at least sees the clips. He was talking about Mints, and he was talking about Dave. Like Dave and him both came up in Boston at the same time. Rob was actually like, it's kind of crazy that we don't know each other. All we like to do is gamble and Boston sports and reality TVs. Like, it's kind of nuts that we've never bumped into each other. He said he would love to play Surviving Barstool. Like he wants to jump in with he said, I want to show them how to play. He said something like that. And then
I did tweet at him for an alliance for a future season. He said, yeah.
I tagged him on Twitter and he goes, man, now I got a bunch of people asking to be in an alliance with me.
That was me.
Yeah. I didn't tell him that I tried to play it cool for you. I didn't tell him like, oh yeah, Tommy would suck your dick on the spot. I didn't tell him that.
Yeah. But yeah, Surviving Barstool. So Survivor comes to an end. Survivor 47 will be back in,
it's like February 28th is the first episode.
Yeah. The preview, I absolutely no thoughts on the preview, right?
Yeah.
Seems like literally the same copy and paste type of cast. Like,
you won't believe it. One guy said he's here to win, and then another guy said, "Yeah, it's more of the same." Please, Survivor, go back to new locations. I'm begging you. If I could change, keep the puzzles. I don't care. I want make every challenge a puzzle till the cows come home. Please go back to China or Africa, or just Africa when they had the elephants walking through camp. It was the coolest fucking thing ever. Please go back to a new location. Or repeat old locations, whatever. I get Fiji probably gives them all sorts of tax breaks and perks.
They also have the infrastructure in place.
Oh, I understand. It's a billion times easier. For the love of God, please make every 3 seasons switch it up. Something.
Staying in Fiji is definitely going to allow Survivor to stay on the air longer. So that's why I'm okay with it. But it makes the show worse. That's for sure.
It definitely does. You can't even refer to seasons as location anymore. Like location was the biggest part of the game for so long. It's what hooked me in a way. Like, it was so unique, and going on the visits to the villages instead of just going to the sanctuary, like
where good things happen.
Where good things happen, correct?
Yeah.
We've beat this drum many a times, but last night when they showed the preview for 48, it was just another copy and paste yam cast. Just same old. Oh, Jeff Probst had a very funny quote because this season went over so well, and he said something to the effect of like, don't worry, we're going to have this sort of gameplay moving forward, as if he had anything to do with that whatsoever.
Right, like you can't control that.
Yeah. So I wonder if 50 will go back to 39 days. You would think so, right?
I don't know. I have no hopes or expectations for that.
I do. You can't do a cast of returning players like 50 epic, whatever they're gonna call it, something cheesy. Survivor Epic 50. You have to do 39 days. Have to.
I agree. I would listen. Obviously, we love Survivor. I would be okay with Survivor 50 being the last ever Survivor season if we're told it's 39 days.
No.
It's the 20 best players ever. We're going back to Borneo. We're losing all these stupid gimmicky We're doing 2 tribes to start off. Maybe you have if they were just like, you know what, we're gonna fucking use all of our budget to make this the greatest send-off season ever. I never want Survivor to end, but I'd be able to stomach that a little bit better.
I don't want it to end. Why? I don't no.
Again, I don't want it to end either. I'm just saying, like, if they were going to end,
you're saying you'd be okay with that. I'm saying I wouldn't be okay with that. That's
Tommy. how about they take the 20 best players and do season 50, but then they also do a season 51? I'd be okay with that.
That would be even better. I'm just saying.
You made up a hypothetical that nobody was like challenging. Like, wait, why would they ever make that the last one? Why would you be?
I mean, it just feels like obviously a potentially naturally ending point, season 50.
I don't think so. It makes. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about money. Makes money for CBS. The Survivor fans are super loyal. It's one of the few shows that regularly draws on network TV. That's not football. Yeah. Like, it's just not. There's no. And now that it's only in Fiji and it is only 28 days, it's actually become kind of affordable to do. I don't see them changing.
Now
I don't see them canceling.
If they do a hard reset at 50 and then it becomes a new era, like how Australia is doing, like Australia versus the world, stuff like that, I'd be fine with. But I see no reason for the show.
You know what's another reason they won't cancel it? The summit. Like, that shows you how hard it is to introduce a new show to get people to watch. Because the summit was losing 60%, 70% of Survivor's audience every week. It's hard to get Survivor's audience. CBS is not going to lose that.
I think maybe there's a chance Jeff would at one point want to walk away and be like, we're done. We've told the story we can tell. When Jeff goes, Survivor will not be the same.
Alex Trebek isn't hosting Jeopardy anymore. Pat Sajak's not hosting Wheel of Fortune anymore. Bob Barker's not hosting Price is Right. Like, these shows can exist without the host.
And hosting to Rick Devens. Who from this season would you like to see return? Do you think will return? Not necessarily in season 50, just at any point. I would say
Andy.
I'll just go through the
Andy, Rachel, Genevieve.
Well, I'll go through the list. That Lib, John Levette, who got voted out first, no shot. TK, no. Aisha, no. Keyshawn, was that his name? I wouldn't be stunned to see him back in like a second chance type season.
He just wasn't on for long enough. Maybe he could have made like 3 weeks longer.
Anna Cano, Rome, I bet could be back.
So here's something that I don't know. I don't want to mention this to you guys. I did not look into this. Apparently, this is what my wife saw on Reddit, and I guess it lined up. He went on Entertainment Tonight and gave a list of people. Like, you're supposed to like kind of like one word, like, oh, what does this person make you think of? And he's like, nope, I got my own list. And the list he read off was an order of who got eliminated, like the rest of the way.
What?
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't followed up with her, but she knew like the next like 7 people to get voted off because it was exactly the order that Rome read it off of. And I didn't want to even bring any attention to it on this show or with you guys. I ignored it at all costs, but that's something I heard. So if that happened, there's no way Rome comes back.
What an absolute dickhead.
What a dummy. Yeah.
Yeah, well, this says Rome's
people in the chat are saying this is what happened.
That's crazy. This is true. Here's what it is: 1 Rachel, 2 Sam, 3 2 14, 5 Genevieve, 6 Andy, 7 Kyle is wrong.
Right. I think there was one mistake in there, but everything else lined up.
What was his incentive?
What an absolute piece of fucking human shit.
What was his reasoning?
Some people want to watch the world burn.
That's pathetic. Yeah. I think I would like to see Rachel, Genevieve, Andy. That's the only 3 I think. Sam.
I enjoyed Sam.
But like, this is gonna. Sam is vanilla. You know, he's wallpaper. He's the same white guy. He's not special.
I thought he was more. I don't know. I found him more engaging than like the average the average like white guy, I guess.
Yeah, to me, he just blends in with every other generic player. Like, you know, when I want returning players, I either want them to be eccentric or very talented game players. Sam kind of falls just in the middle. Like, he's a 7.5 out of 10 across the board. You know, he doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. He's just theater kid Sam. Which also
I just keep reading about what a piece of fucking shit Rome is. I feel like there was other stuff too of like the cast not liking him. So him back again. Could someone tweet like that interview at me and at us and at Stuff and Torches? Because I can't find the interview. All I can find is like Reddit theories saying.
And I'll ask I'll ask my wife tonight. Send stuff over to you too.
He got a salty reception at Ponderosa.
What?
I typed into Google Rome Survivor interview, and the top is an Entertainment Weekly interview where it says he got a salty reception at Ponderosa. It wasn't a good one. I'll say that.
He also wasn't, or I guess, he was only there with some other people, but
yeah, like I said, I'd look into it more, but yeah, I wanted to bring, I forgot, I was going to actually text you guys about it last night because I didn't want to say anything until we got the final things.
You know who the internet loves is Saul. Like, fucking
they do love Saul.
I kind of like Saul. I'm a Saul guy.
I like his vibe.
He was my original winner pick from like episode 1. He never really had a great grasp on the game, but the internet just bows at the altar of Saul. It's pretty interesting. I wouldn't hate seeing him come back just because he seems like a chill bro. But like, I would say he would have won the Sia fan favorite. I think like
I would have thought Teeny would have won that.
No, I think maybe Andy.
Oh, maybe. Maybe. Yeah, actually, Tommy, I think you're right. I think it would have been Andy.
I think Genevieve would be. I bet Sam could maybe come back. Maybe.
Yeah, that's all.
Rachel. Yeah, I mean, I think actually a pretty decent amount of returning possibilities. But yeah, that's it, I guess. You guys got anything else in Survivor 47?
Do we want to have our argument or no?
Well, I meant, yeah, we'll talk a little about Surviving Barstool, but I meant, do we have anything else on Survivor 47?
No, great season.
Great season.
I'm so 48 filmed back to back with 47 because I would say after they threw a shot in the dark and they called out Jeff for how dumb his advantage was. Which one was that? Rome or Gabe called him out on how dumb it was.
Rome was gone. They all kind of did, right?
I would chose together to get rid of shot in the dark together.
I would hope that moving forward, they let the game speak a little more and not everything has to be lose a vote and shit like that. That's my only gripe, I guess, with this season is not everything has to be you lose a vote.
Agreed. But yeah, really good season. Rachel deserving winner. A lot of entertaining characters. Andy probably be the most memorable. Good season. I think I don't want to say it'll be I think the reason it won't be up there with the all-time greats is not really. It's just the fault of like it's in Fiji. To me, all the New Era seasons run together a little bit. Like when we come back in March, I feel like I might forget half the cast we just talked about. Like for whatever reason, the New Era just slips from my brain way easier. I think because they do all blend in. Like, we'll remember Rachel, remember probably Sam, Sue,
Andy,
we'll
remember
Andy.
Operation Italy.
Yeah, but like, we'll see. I feel like I'm gonna end up just forgetting even more than I think. Anyway, Survivor 48 will return February, March. We'll be back with Snuffing Torches then. More consistently, I would say.
Don't start making promises, Smoke.
I'm just saying,
we do better in the spring when football is not going on. I think.
Yeah, no travel. So
Wednesday nights. True.
We did better last year with the spring.
Yeah. But until then, if you're not watching Surviving Barstool season 4, go watch that. 8 episodes so far. Episode 9 tonight. And there's a little bit of a holiday hiatus for like 2.5 weeks, and comes back with 6 more episodes in January. I guess slight spoiler for last night, Surviving Barstool, if you haven't watched, or big spoiler for last night, Surviving Barstool, if you haven't watched it yet. This was a little debate that's going on. I personally feel like the Survivor fans are on more me and Jeff's side, and the non-Survivor fans are on Francis' side, but Clemmer seems to be more on Francis' side too. So basically,
no, I'm not. It's a different argument.
All right, here's basically what happened last night, and I want to hear from the Snuffheads in the chat. Last night, and we'll be careful here. Obviously not going to spoil anything rest of the season, but this is all stuff that was already aired. Last night, going into Tribal Council on this tribe, it is Francis, Roan, Rhea, Big Cat, Dave, and Mooby. Francis has an idol. He's thinking about playing it, but Rhea's like, "No, don't play it. You don't have to play it." In reality, what happened was Big Cat, Mooby, Dave, and Rhea were together. the 4 of them were splitting the votes 2 apiece on 2 Roan, 2 Francis to potentially flush out Francis's idol because everybody knew he had an idol. Francis and Roan end up voting for Mubi, so we have a 3-way tie, 2 on Mubi, 2 on Francis, 2 on Roan. Now, I will say, actually, this is the one mistake we probably made, is that everybody could have actually been on the revote, because as we saw this season, when there's a 3-way tie, usually on a tie, the 2 people that got the votes don't revote because you can only vote for each other. It's pointless. But when there are 3 people, technically you have 2 other options to vote for. And we saw that exact scenario this season. But that aired after we had already filmed this. Also didn't end up mattering at all because the votes were still going to go on Francis. But that actually is the mistake we probably made, but didn't have any effect. So Rachel or Rhea, Big Cat, and Dave end up being the 3 revotes. They all vote for well before they all vote. This is like when Jeff is like, "Hey, get up there, go revote." Francis is trying to barter with his life, barter with his idol to Dave. He's like, "Hey, Dave, I'll give you my idol, or Dave, if you don't vote for me, I'll give you my idol." And Dave is like, "Well, how about you give me the idol and then I don't vote for you?" You know, like a little bit of a back and forth. Francis goes to clarify with Dave, and he's like, "If I'm getting voted out, the idol dies, right?" And Jeff's like, "Yeah, the idol dies." Francis thought that if he gave Dave the idol and Francis got voted out, the idol's automatically dead. Jeff did not understand his question that way because Jeff, is a Survivor fan, and I think he realizes, like, yeah, obviously, like, if you give up the idol, it's not your fucking idol anymore. Like, that to me is, I think, kind of the crux of it is people who know Survivor will just have the common sense of being like, the second you hand off the idol, no shit, like, you have no control over the idol anymore. Because then you could play the game of, let's say Francis gives the idol to Dave and they listen to Francis and they vote out Roan instead. And then, Francis gets voted out a few weeks later. Does the idol dive when Dave, like, if Dave still had it? No, obviously. Like, the second you transfer possession of the idol, the second you lose possession of the idol. That, I think, is very clear. Francis,
that's not the argument, though.
I understand. I'm just setting it up. The argument is, should Francis have been able to give Dave the idol at that point, because votes had already been cast and votes had already been read. Now, to my thinking is on the revote, there's like a reset, right? Like on the revote, there's a reset.
Not a reset. It's not a reset.
Well, I mean, there is. Like, people go vote again.
There's not a reset because there's a reset that everyone would be allowed to vote.
It's a reset.
It's not a reset.
Everybody should have been allowed to vote.
It's not what reset means. So in this scenario, we had 3 players who were no longer able to vote anymore. Therefore, it's not a reset.
Okay. There's a stoppage.
It is like, here's what I'm saying. Francis should not have been able to, if the votes are being read and Francis is seeing that a bunch of votes are coming out for him, he can't, in the middle of the votes being read, give the idol to fucking Rowan or somebody, be like, "Hey, you're in my alliance, take this idol." That obviously cannot happen. But I think that, honestly, it would have been more unfair to Francis to not let him even have the opportunity to barter for his life with the idol. Now, here's the thing. There is no direct one-for-one comparison in the history of Survivor. Like, we can't, like, yes, you can't give up the idol while the votes are being read, but we haven't seen somebody do what Francis did and in the middle of or before the revotes be like, "Hey, don't vote for me." I like to think that Jeff Probst, being, the producer of a reality show, would let that play out. I think he would.
But
let
the rule
Francis...
is you cannot transfer an idol after votes are read.
He wouldn't have. Jeff wouldn't have.
But,
no way.
But the vote.
No way.
I agree with you.
The revote votes hadn't been read yet.
No way, Tommy. 0% chance.
Here's the other thing, Tommy, here's why it's not a reset too. So when initially happens is anyone with something to play, please play it now.
That's it. Yes.
Right.
Like, yeah.
You don't do that. Well, hang on a second. You don't do that the second vote reading. Therefore,
Correct.
It's not really a reset.
Correct.
The word
Tom's
reset is so imperative here because it's not a reset. It's actually a continuation.
Tommy, you really need to think about what Clemmer just said. Jeff says at the top of Tribal, if anybody has an idol or an advantage they want to play it now. If you don't play it now, that's it. You cannot. After that, after a vote has been written down, you can't start wheeling and dealing idols. Secondly,
You can't play the idol.
Secondly, though, Francis asking if it's dead. Jeff DeLoe should have just explained the rule. I don't understand. Like, I'm not saying Jeff DeLoe is in the wrong.
No, I don't think honestly Jeff understood exactly what Francis was.
Yeah,
asking.
but
I
I'm
don't
saying,
think so
like,
either.
on the production side or whatever, they could have just been like, "Hey, we never really explained how idols work. I guess this is
But
how
all right,
they work."
counterpoint.
That's
People
Tommy's
know
job.
people could go fucking watch Survivor.
But we're not Survivor, and we have nothing. CBS, we have nothing to do with that show. It's just coincidental that we have a similar show.
All right,
but
so then we have our own rules, and this
Which is
a,
fair,
this
but
point
which-
is
But,
mute.
but
very
that
fair.
wasn't expressed to the players.
then explain. Then you have
I
to.
was
explain the
not
rule.
told that.
You just have to explain the rule. Tommy, Tommy, wait. I have a question for Tommy. What shirt do you wear? In
Ref.
Surviving Barstool? The referee shirt. And the referee what?
They came to me for a ruling, and I said Francis gave the idol to Dave. That's Dave's idol.
Okay.
I see. I think that's wrong. And so just full transparency. Tommy and I have been arguing about this for months.
It's yeah.
including that entire week. I don't think that idol should have been transferred, and I believe that.
Look
very
at
strongly.
this. If players were allowed to have discussions before a revote, that'd be the time to pass off advantages. They aren't allowed to think about Final Six Cambodia. No, this person, Survivor Larry. Think about Final Six from Cambodia. There were complete discussions and arguments in between votes.
Sure.
I have to believe the idols could have been bartered in that.
I have to believe they wouldn't be bartered.
There's just no way to know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, there is, because there's a rule in place saying you can't transfer an idol after a vote is read. That's a rule.
No, wait. It happened last season. Wait, hold on. Do you remember someone went home with idol in their pocket, but there was like some confusion if they like passed it along on their way out because they didn't want to go home with it? And
That's different. That obviously you cannot do.
Clarified. You
Same
can't.
thing.
No,
Yeah,
that's very different. Passing an idol when you know you're being voted out and you're on your way out is way different than trying to give up the idol to make sure you don't get voted out. All right, let's think about it. Let's say there's no revote. And let's say that for whatever fucking reason, I mean, this hypothetical doesn't even make sense because you would just play the idol. But if somebody had an idol on the first vote and they were like, hey, don't vote for me tonight and I'll give you the idol, you would allow them, they'd be allowed to transfer it to the person. It'd be fucking stupid.
I don't understand. I don't
Wait,
understand.
no, Tommy, yeah, after the vote, sure, after you go back to camp, not if there is a stoppage and then another vote. But then
once
this
Jeff
never
says
happened.
you have anything left to
Wait.
play, you can't transfer it anymore.
I'll take Tommy's
He
side
didn't
for a
play
second.
it.
Tommy, I'll take your
You
side
still
for a
can't
second.
transfer it.
Hold on,
That's
Clemmer.
that's just something you're saying.
No, it's
Clemmer,
not. You
Clemmer.
can't then give the idol that's not allowed.
Clemmer, I have a question. Since this has never happened and our show has nothing to do with that show on CBS, two totally different shows, I can see Tommy's side where Tommy made the ruling and that's now the rule. You know, like since it had never happened before and there was no precedent.
Right. I agree.
I can buy that.
I agree, but I guess that that's the case. But I think something like that needs to be explained to the players beforehand. Now, I understand you can't foresee everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's not
I
something
get
you
that.
could like lay out on day one and be like, hey, if this happens, you know, like
I know.
think in the moment, it felt like the right call where, first of all, again, I think there was confusion on what exactly Francis was asking, most importantly.
I agree with that.
Nobody thought that Francis would possibly think that that somehow if he gave up the idol, it would die if it wasn't his position anyway. I think nobody thought that was even in his mind. And that's when you say like, oh, they should have explained it. Like, I don't think we thought that was even possible to cross his mind.
But he could have done that before the vote, like how Eric voted himself
You know
out.
what Francis could have done? He could have just fucking played the idol.
And why
Or like
Wait,
that
wait,
is the
But
number
that's
one.
a different argument, though. That's not what we're
I know,
saying.
But I think the most important thing, the only thing that's really bothering me is I feel like people online were like, Francis was screwed. Francis was not screwed. Francis was going home regardless.
Right.
Francis was going home no matter what. He didn't play the idol. He was going out on the revote. Francis did not get screwed.
But you know what? It's Jeff DeLoe. Instead, he could have just been like, yeah, I guess I could have explained that better. That's all.
That's all. Yeah. And also, even if Dave and Francis had an agreement where the idol, then the other two people could have voted Francis and he's gone anyway.
Yeah, it's true.
Why
So
didn't
the
he
whole
play it?
thing
Why didn't he
doesn't
play it for
matter.
himself?
Francis was going home regardless. My issue is, I don't believe you should be allowed to transfer an idol once a vote is read, or once Jeff says, does anyone have anything else to play? Now, this is a gray area, like I said, Tommy, because it hasn't happened before, but I think that's why it's interesting having this show, because people who watch this show are obviously huge fans, just like we
Maybe
are.
we'll get Jeff Probst to weigh in.
I love it.
Wait, what is Francis's reason for not playing it on himself?
He just didn't think he was going home.
But then why would he?
No.
Why would he give
watch-
it to Dave then?
He wanted to be like, hey, don't vote me out.
Then
and
just
I'll
play
give
for
it."
yourself.
He couldn't play it at
He
that
couldn't.
point. It was on the revote.
That's why I'm saying, this is my whole point, Nate. This is why it's not really a reset.
Another point for Clemmer.
I
it
really
is
think
a
I'm right
reset.
here.
People
And
go up to vote again.
I've been fighting this fight for a while,
People go up to vote again.
but they can't. Not everyone does, and they also.
Everybody should have. To be fair, everybody should have. That was our mistake. Everybody should have went up to vote again.
I honestly, though, to be fair, Tommy, I also thought the same thing you guys did. So when I'm watching in real time, I agreed. I had no issue with that. So that I'm not going to be there.
I think the biggest mistake was Jeff and Tommy not congregating as the two officials and stopping production for a second.
Let me also. Well, we did. First of all, we did. Like there were discussions after. Obviously, it doesn't get shown in the edit, but we also had a guy on there, Will, who has worked on Survivor for many seasons. By the way, it is like a challenge person rules guy, and he agreed with me and Jeff. He was like, "Yeah, that's now Dave's idol." Francis gave it to him. So that I also feel like people aren't realizing. And a guy who's worked on the fucking show, and again, you could make the argument, well, there's no exact ruling that he's basing this off of, and that's true, but there's no exact ruling then to prove that we're wrong either. And this is a guy who's worked on the show for years, and he had the same thought that we did.
Okay. I see
Point
both
done.
sides.
That's why it's a good argument, I think, because like there's no like true answer.
There's no right answer.
There's no, there's not. I believe very strongly I'm right, but I understand how but I understand that there's no real like I don't have a document saying I am. So.
All right, that's it. Tune in to Survivor Barstool tonight. Let's say 12 people left, so about halfway done. Really just great stuff. Obviously, you're not going to have real Survivor for a few months now, so you'll get your fix with Survivor Barstool.
And I'll say this too: it gets wilder. Just
honestly, though, Survivor 48 starts in 2 months and a week. That's a very quick turnaround.
Yeah, this turnaround's always quicker.
Yeah. It's exciting.
All right, that's it. Subscribe. Thank you to the Snuffheads. I'm not promising any off-season interviews because I've done that before. I have talked to some of the players. If it works out, maybe we'll do one or two, but no promises. But we'll be back for season 48. Thank you, guys. Thank you to the Snuffheads. Goodbye. See you in season 48.